I'm Reshama Shaikh, and I'm a statistician data scientist based out of New York City. I have a master's in statistics and an MBA in technology and analytics. I'm also an organizer for two very active meetup groups in New York. They are Data Umbrella and NYC Pi Ladies. Data Umbrella is for underrepresented persons in data science, and Pi Ladies is for advancing women and other gender minorities in the Python community. I have been connected to Neo4j, pun completely intended, for the past 3 years. I connected with Neo4j as community organizer thanks to very active outreach from the Neo4j Developer Advocate Group. I first organized an event with Neo4j back in the fall of 2017. That was my first introduction to Graph's database, and it sparked interest in me. After that, I was invited to Graph Connect in 2018, which is Neo4j's biannual conference, and it was conveniently in New York City, where I'm also located. And I was excited to learn more about Neo4j and Graph's databases. After watching several keynotes as well as other talks on the applications of Neo4j, the power of Graph's database really hit me, And as data scientists and analysts, we're accustomed to looking at data in various tables, but we know that the connections between them in real life are more complex. We know that at an intuitive level, and our traditional tabular storage is missing those connections, and with that, we're oversimplifying our approach to our analysis of data. It was after that conference that I wrote the article, Graphs Are the Next Frontier in Data Science, and I did that to share what I learned with other people. And I also had the article cross-posted in KD Nuggets, which is a platform for data science folks. And it was very popular and won the gold medal blog for the week. I have used Neo4j hands-on. The first time was the Saturday after the Graph Connect conference in 2018. There was a Graph Hack Day, and there were teams where people could, use Neo4j on various types of data. It was a fun competition, and so I joined a team of other people, and there were a couple of other people in there that were much more advanced than I was, and a couple of new beginners. And I learned a lot of key things, and one of them is that we need a schema to define the data relationships. And I had this misconception that you take a raw table of data, read it into Neo4j, and it just produces this magical graph for you, and that's not really the case. It's really important that those of us working with data understand what the connections to the data are and to define it in the database. So later that fall, I heard that one of the developers, Will Lyon, was in town all the way from Montana to teach a course on Neo4j. And so I organized an Intro to Neo4j Graphs database in New York. And also, it was because I wanted to continue learning more about Neo4j. And it was a very popular event. And the really cool thing is because I had been to a few events and used Neo4j hands-on, I was able to answer introductory questions for our attendees at the event. I'm an organizer for Pi Ladies, as I mentioned, and there are over 200 chapters worldwide. I have a fairly small data set, and I wanted to try out Neo4j on my own data set, not on practice data set. And I had some questions about data set, and I kept in touch with one of my team members from the Graph Hack event, and I reached out to him, and he was really, really helpful. We got on a conference call, and that's one other thing about Neo4j is the community is incredibly talented, welcoming, passionate, and helpful. I connect my communities by sharing the plethora of free events and tutorials that Neo4j offers. And if there's any feedback I have, I connect with the experts and the user experience folks at Neo4j. I think Neo4j and Graph's databases are incredibly powerful, and I would like more people to know about it. The recent Nodes 2020 conference, which was just in October, was a terrific way to connect with communities around the world and share about Neo4j to data science and other tech folks. You know, what I think holds, the future holds for Graph's databases is that the understanding of Graph's database is going to be as ubiquitous as how we hear about deep learning and artificial intelligence. And I see, you know, that Neo4j is working on a new user interface, and that's going to be helpful for beginners as well. Emil Ephraim, who is the founder of Neo4j, had said back in the 2018 Graph Connect conference, which I had tweeted out, and he said, the biggest competitors of Neo4j are all the people who do not know about this product. We need to reach users who can and absolutely need to use graphs for that data. And so that really resonated with me, and I keep that in mind. Thank you so much.